If you are forced to find shelter in a life raft, which is your secondary means of abandonment after a totally enclosed lifeboat, you'll need to be familiar with the various launching methods and types of rafts found on structures and vessels working throughout the world. There are several methods of launching life rafts. However, once inflated, the basic construction is similar, with only a few small differences between types. Generally, the majority of life rafts are constructed of two superimposed buoyancy tubes, each capable on its own to support the full complement of the raft in case one were to fail. The raft uses a metal cylinder filled with CO2, carbon dioxide, to inflate the buoyancy tubes. An arch that supports a canopy also automatically inflates, providing shelter from the outside marine environment. Some escape systems utilize a large open raft that is not equipped with a canopy. Aviation life rafts installed on marine service aircraft may also not utilize a canopy. These life rafts can either be manually or automatically launched in case of a water ditching, and are stored in either a plastic PVC or soft-type valise. Davit-launched life rafts are similar to conventional throw-over types. However, they have the capability to be boarded dry from the deck level and lowered to the water with their full complement of personnel at a controlled rate. This type of life raft is often used as a secondary means of abandonment from offshore installations and ships in the event the lifeboats become inaccessible or incapacitated. The davit life raft canister or canisters are stored next to a single davit arm, which is used to lower the raft. Let's take a brief look at the davit launch procedure to be followed. Move the raft into a location adjacent to an opening in the rail. Pull out approximately 3 meters of painter line and secure to a strong point. Also secure all bowsing and canister retaining lines. Release the life raft suspension shackle and attach the davit's automatic release hook to the shackle. Hoist up on the davit fall, allowing the life raft to swing outboard. Continue hoisting until the hook is nearly at the davit's head. If the raft does not automatically inflate, pull out the painter to its maximum extent and give it a sharp tug to inflate. When the raft is fully inflated, lower it until the entrance is level with the deck and adjust the bowsing lines to steady the raft alongside. Board the raft, being sure to remove any sharp objects and to evenly disperse passengers on all sides. Ensure that the release hook's trip lanyard is hanging over the inboard entrance and that a crew member in charge has it in hand. Release all restraining lines and throw them into the raft. After checking that all is clear below, activate the brake release mechanism and begin the descent to the water. As the raft approaches the sea at around 2 meters or 6 feet, the automatic release davit hook should be pulled or cocked to trip the hook, and the raft will automatically release upon becoming waterborne. If it does not release, activate the manual cable release mechanism. Even though the davit launch procedures are similar from one location to another, be sure to learn and practice the exact procedure necessary for your installation. To begin a manual launch procedure with a conventional throw-over life raft, ensure the life raft painter line is secured to a strong point. Release the raft lashings from the cradle and check that the water below the raft is clear. Pick the life raft up in its container using proper lifting techniques and watch for slipping hazards, especially if the vessel is listing severely. Carefully proceed to throw the raft over the lee side. Once in the water, the painter should be pulled until resistance is felt. A sharp tug then activates the gas bottle, resulting in the inflation of the raft. Due to the difficulty and time involved in having to pick up and throw the life raft overboard, some vessels now mount the life raft canisters on stowage ramps, which also incorporate a hydrostatic release system. These systems make the launching of a life raft considerably easier and quicker. Immediately after inflating the life raft, it is normal for you to hear gas escaping through pressure relief valves installed on the raft. This allows excess gas to automatically escape and will probably stop in a few minutes. The main rule in marine survival situations is to stay dry. To ensure this, the life raft may be boarded in several ways: by climbing down a ladder, stairs, net, or line, or by boarding from the water. Get down below a height of 10 meters or 30 feet and utilize the proper water entry step-off procedures. In the unlikely event that a life raft is inflated upside down, it can only be righted by a man in the water. Swim on your back, using only the arms, to the side of the raft closest to the gas bottle. Next, facing the raft, turn it into the wind and kick and pull yourself up onto the raft. Once on the raft, place your feet on the gas bottle. Grab the righting strap and lean back over the edge until the raft begins to right itself. Once the raft has reached the vertical and starts to come over, jump back well clear of the descending raft. Survivors in the water, upon arriving at the raft, should help each other to board. Those remaining in the water should wait their turn while holding on to the lifelines around the outside of the raft. Boarding the raft from the sea takes considerable effort. Most new models of life rafts have inflatable ramps on at least one entrance that makes it easier, as shown here, to board the raft. With the boarding ladder, you begin by placing your foot on the highest rung possible while bobbing up and down, using the buoyancy of your PFD or survival suit to lift you out of the water as you attempt to reach inside and grab the internal lifelines. Once up on the tube, pull yourself in, watching that you do not pull on the canopy, which can be torn easily. Help all personnel into the raft and space everyone evenly around the perimeter. Keep as much weight as possible to the outside perimeter to prevent wind from blowing up under the raft in rough seas. If there is more than one raft on the scene, tie them together using the life raft's painters. There is safety in numbers, and with 2 or more life raft, you have increased survival gear and present a larger profile. If the seas are rough, make sure there is adequate line, about 50 feet between the rafts, so wind cannot get underneath and cause them to snatch and possibly capsize. Whenever towing a life raft, the best point to tow it from is the painter line, which is often connected to the raft with a bridle. Never exceed a towing speed of 2 miles per hour. When possible, all personnel with injuries will be assessed and treated. If a crewman is recovered from the water with all the signs of drowning, mouth-to-mouth rescue breathing and CPR should be started immediately and continued until help arrives, or it threatens the well-being of the crew. It is very difficult to perform CPR in the life raft due to the soft floor. One method to perform chest compressions is to place the victim on top of another person, who then wraps his arms around the victim's chest, locks his hands, and performs the chest compressions as if he were giving a bear hug. Once all seriously injured crew members have been treated, the rest of the crew must look after their own health by passing out seasickness pills. Even the most hardened sea dog is apt to get sick in a raft. Seasickness should be taken seriously, as it results in the loss of precious body fluids and slows a person's ability to act quickly, if at all. If your vessel is still afloat, stay tied to it unless fire or some other form of danger forces you to cut the painter. The vessel may not sink and could be used for potential shelter, and if it does sink in shallow water, it will serve as an anchor. By remaining with the vessel, you are staying close to the position of your distress call, and you will be easier to spot by rescuers. If you need to cut the painter line, keep as much line as possible and use the curved knife stored on the tube for this purpose. When finished, replace the knife. If the raft has been cut clear of the parent vessel, check that the raft's sea anchor has been properly streamed. The sea anchor, which is deployed automatically upon inflation, serves to position the entrances at right angles to the weather, helps stabilize the raft in the water, and reduces the rate of drift, helping you to stay closer to your last reported position. Some life rafts and lifeboats are equipped with personal location devices and EPIRBs. These are beacons that transmit a signal which provides the call sign of the vessel or offshore structure and its location once the device is manually activated or activated by contact with water. The signal is picked up by satellites and relayed to ground stations where the appropriate authorities can be alerted. Turn your EPIRB on once you abandon your rig and keep it on. Class A and Category 1 EPIRBs are designed to float free and automatically activate. Class B and Category 2 EPIRBs must be manually turned on. A continuous transmission is necessary for the satellites to confirm a position and for search and rescue authorities to pinpoint your location. Immediately assign watch and other duties, no matter how trivial, to all except the severely injured. Routine activities will ease boredom and help morale. The watchkeeper should look for other survival craft, persons in the water, passing ships, aircraft, and changes in the weather. Close down the raft entrances once everyone is inside to keep the cold out and keep in the warmth generated by the occupants. A system of straps, Velcro, or tabs is provided with instructions found printed on the canopy or in the survival bag. Leave a small hole for ventilation, which the posted lookout person can utilize. With cold being the biggest killer, every attempt should be made to raise the body temperature of the raft's inhabitants by pumping or bailing out any water and drying the interior with sponges or clothing. If clothing is wet, remove it and wring it out, and put it back on. It has been shown that the temperature inside a life raft can be raised to 60 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 Celsius in just 1 hour, even with sub-zero outside temperatures. The majority of the life raft's equipment is stowed in an emergency pack, comprised of a cylinder wrapped in plastic and secured to the inside of the raft. The following equipment is available on most life rafts as cited by the 1986 SOLAS Safety of Life at Sea requirements. These supplies and features may differ when deployed at offshore installations and aboard certain aircraft. They include can openers, repair kit, first aid kit, whistle, rocket parachute flares, handheld red flares, buoyant smoke signals, waterproof flashlight with spare batteries and bulb, a radar reflector, daylight signaling mirror, instruction on life-saving signals, fishing tackle, food rations, containers of fresh water, optional water desalting system, graduated drinking cup, anti-seasickness medicine and seasickness bags, survival and immediate action instruction handbook, and thermal protective aids. Remember to look for this equipment, read the instructions, practice using all of it effectively, and keep it ready for quick action. It just might save your life. If leaks develop in the buoyancy tubes, a repair kit, as mentioned, is among the raft's supplies. This kit will include rubber tube patches, which utilize rubber cement, and sealing clamps for plugging larger holes. Instructions on their use will be included. During the day, the rise in temperatures may be enough to cause the gas to expand and activate the relief valves. At night, when the temperature falls, you might have to pump up the tubes with the supplied air pump to keep them rigid as the gas contracts. The pump is also required to inflate the double-skinned floor in order to provide insulation from the cold seas and to improve stability. The hand pump fits into valves located conveniently inside the life raft. These will include valves for upper and lower buoyancy tubes, the canopy arch, and the floor. Begin collecting rainwater immediately to add to your provisions. Many life raft models have a rain catchment built into the raft's canopy. Use whatever containers you can to store it in. Under conditions of high wind and spray, it may be impossible to collect potable water. It is important to maintain your physical condition, reducing your exposure to the cold and sun. Exposure to the sun increases thirst and water requirements, in addition to the harm received from sunburn on the skin. Cover any exposed skin with clothing and shield your eyes from glare by cutting a slit in a piece of cardboard. In hot climates, keep entrances open, converting the entrance covers to awnings using the raft's paddles. Deflate the raft's floor and drench the outside of the canopy with seawater to lower the internal temperature. In cold weather, place as much clothing on as you can in order to insulate yourself. Alternate seating in order to transfer body heat between passengers. Feet should be positioned under the armpits of the person sitting across from you. Having survived an initial emergency situation, the final stage rescue can be the most hazardous of all if the person being rescued is unaware of the techniques and proper procedures required for a safe evacuation by either helicopter or boat. Many survival tasks can be practiced and trained for, but about the only time you'll have a chance to be recovered by a helicopter is when your life hangs in the balance of the success of this operation. You should be confident that you have survived this long to manage a rescue attempt and remain calm, controlling frustration and not panicking. Helicopters generally cannot operate at night or in high wind conditions, but even if attempted retrieval has failed, you should be assured that your location is now known and that these dedicated men and women will not rest until you are home safely. When a rescue helicopter approaches, all survivors should don life jackets and place themselves on top of the canopy and depress the arch by sitting on it. The flattening of the canopy is necessary to prevent the gale-like wind force of the hovering helicopter from upsetting the stability of the life raft. Rescue by a helicopter may take several forms, depending upon the prevailing weather conditions and condition of the survivors. Rescue personnel are highly trained, and it is vital that you follow their directions explicitly. In most cases, a rescue basket will be lowered to you, often accompanied by a rescue diver, who will either jump in from the helicopter or ride down with the basket. It may be necessary for you to get into the water to initiate retrieval, as life rafts are very susceptible to capsizing from the high winds created by the rotors. Follow the commands of the rescue diver to the letter. Anything lowered from a helicopter will have built up a strong static electrical charge, which must be grounded into the water before contact with survivors is made. While in the water, the basket will be trawled toward you. If the open side or mouth is pointed away from you, turn it so that you can get in. As soon as you're stabilized in the basket, raise an arm and give the thumbs up sign. Sit still and grab hold with both hands. You'll be hoisted up as soon as conditions permit. Do not attempt to enter the helicopter until told to do so. Rescue by vessel is also very hazardous, as rescue craft move at different speeds in rough seas, and there is always the chance of the raft and personnel being run over. It is essential that the instructions of the rescue craft's captain and crew be followed exactly. All personnel should don their life jackets and be ready to move to the entrance of the life raft. A lifeline from the rescue vessel to survivors is very helpful. This may be the most strenuous part of your ordeal, so remain calm, alert, and orderly.